Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at @AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Stewart Gill on the line. He's co-founder and CEO over at Evolutionsapp. Stewart, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at Evolutionsapp. I know that you got your MVP launched, and we're going to get into that, doing some raising and a couple other things. So excited to get your insight into the strategy for the company and what's going to happen going forward. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career and in business?
I love talking about myself, so that's an easy one. Like most founders, I have an unusual path. My path is a little different than most. I am a former Olympic-level athlete for Taekwondo. So I made my living for years and years and years kicking and punching people. And I was very fortunate enough to travel the world competing for my country and hopefully winning some medals along the way. With that being said, when I retired, I realized I wanted to go into business but didn't have a direction path. So one of my main Olympic sponsors was the Home Depot, the franchise retailer for hardware tools and mechanics. With that being said, I kind of moved up the ranks at Home Depot and realized I had a passion for business, but not necessarily an affinity towards retail, certainly not hardware. But with that, I always, growing up as a child, I knew I had a funny relationship with money. As a child, we didn't have it. And then as I started getting older, I realized when I started making money, I didn't know what to do with it. And so that's where Evolutions came into play. I decided I wanted to help people with their financial wellness and take it in terms that they can fit into, like being a former athlete, really focusing on their financial fitness. And that's how I became an executive and building the app we're building today.
Man, that's awesome. And I think that's a great transition. Let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit more about Evolutionsapp and where you're at with the product.
Yeah, so, as you should announce, we're fortunate that we just launched our MVP, our minimum viable product, 2 weeks ago. And really what the app does is we're communicating the way millennials like to communicate. So on our mobile application, you can log in, see all your API financials, you can see how much money you have, see how your profile is doing, your portfolio is doing. But then also we have a learning management system. So you receive a financial fitness score. And when you first log in, you might have a score that's a little bit lower than you expected, but it'll say for stuff like, well, you don't own any property you rent. You're not fully invested in 401k, or you don't have an estate plan, for example. As you go forward through our learning management system, you get points and quick tips, and your stars and your rating goes up. And finally, on the app, when you're ready to it, you can connect yourself and build your own advisory team. So we really educate the users twice. First, the importance of having a financial plan, and secondarily, how to go about building that plan and a team around you.
Man, that's awesome. And so what have you, this whole experience of launching the app, getting your minimal viable product out, and all these things, like what are some of the interesting things that you're seeing in this marketplace? Because obviously you didn't just get an idea and then just go out and do it. I know. So what are you finding interesting in this whole thing? Because I would put you in that whole fintech, financial kind of marketplace, if you will.
That's correct. So what we're different is most financial advisors go after the soon-to-be retirees, those that are fully invested 401k plan, they're homeowners, they're 60, 65 years old and have a high or medium high net worth. We're the actually inverse. So as opposed to going to the people talking about retirement, we're targeting the millennials, the next generation coming up, and saying it's difficult and challenging to go to a 20-year-old and say, listen, in 40 years you're going to retire. What do you want that to look like? So we really focus on what life is today. So talking to this young generation, if you want to be on Instagram, you want to have a nice couple of photos and experiences and vacations, let's budget, let's have a plan so we can take 2 or 3 vacations a year and build that plan. Now, that being said, once we get about this year, the next thing they do is think about 2 years. Now, 5 years, 10 years, and all of a sudden they have a financial plan strategy for the future. So what we do is we don't believe in transformational behavioral change. So the app really educates the way millennials speak. So we kind of mimic Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook. It's really short tidbits of education. You may see a 2-minute video on cryptocurrency. You may see a 140-character or less read on compound interest. We're not teaching them anything their grandmother didn't teach them to save more than you spend, but we're really communicating to this generation the way we like to communicate. all in a mobile application that's fun, engaging, retention. And we also use gamification to kind of keep them rolling along that pathway to financial success.
Man, that's awesome. I love it. And just thinking about what you're saying, I mean, I come from that space, of financial advisor space originally, and I always thought about it, and I'm like, man, obviously, obviously you want to help as many people as possible, but I'm thinking, man, when I was a kid or when I was younger, as you're talking, I'm thinking about like how cool would that have been if this was around for me, and I could have learned a lot of things that I wanted to learn that you're talking about, like even at a younger age, and I would have been more engaging. It would have been more fun. It wouldn't have been like me having to kind of go through the drudgery of learning it the old school way. What if it communicated with me the way I wanted to be communicated with? And so I think what you're doing is awesome, and I think it's super interesting to see how the users will connect with this. So in terms of next stages for the product, so what are you up to? Like, what's your vision for 2020? What are your next action steps, if you will?
Well, besides global takeover and world dominance, so as we just launched the MVP, we're doing closed blind testing for the next few weeks. So we have 100 users on the platform testing, providing feedback. Then we're going to do a mass launch starting in California for Q1, and then going nationwide by Q3. And the goal is to get as many users, active users on the platform engaging with us. And it's called Evolutions for a reason, because as our users' financial needs evolve, so will Evolutions in the platform, and we want to grow together. And we're here for the long term. So whether it's first home purchase, the first time going from a W-2 and transitioning career to a 1099 employee, insurance, you want to invest with so on and so forth, so will Evolutions be there. And really, at this stage, we're also taking on capital investment. Our goal was, didn't want to have just an idea and go to venture capitalist angel investors. We really want to have a product in the marketplace, have traction, user feedback. And most importantly, when we're talking to a future investor, while we're having a conversation, they can download the app and use it for their families as well. So we're raising capital, and we want to build this product to really help our constituents, our community, which is Generation X, but really, to be honest, it's Generation everyone, because everyone can use some help with financial plans. And we've taken a lot of time, found that people have a really evocative nature towards money. Some people are driven by it, some people are scared by it, some people are embarrassed by it, some people just don't want to talk about it. So that's the beauty of the app. You can go and take our learning management system at your own stage, at your own process, and feel comfortable, and they were able to make a decision.
That's awesome. So if somebody's listening to this, Stewart, and they want more information on Evolutionsapp, what's the best way for them to connect and get that info?
Well, the easiest way is evolutionsapp.com. But also, we're kind of old school in this new generation. We have a phone as well. So it's 858-866-8181, and our team members will be there to answer all your questions.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Stewart, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at Evolutionsapp to our users. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those things that we do to support our podcasters. Oh, and if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, but also leave us some comments in the comment section. Love to hear your take on the conversation. Let's keep it going. And Stewart, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.